Police in Moscow have cracked down on an opposition pro-democracy protest. Riot police in body armor chasing down protesters on city streets, and one monitoring group saying nearly 700 people have been arrested. Russian officials say the protest was unauthorized. Now, this is just the latest pro-democracy protest to be held on the streets of Moscow. And for more, let's bring in Stephanie Skandaris looking at what took place today and the bigger issue. So let's begin with the latest here, Stephanie.
Well, Michael, Moscow police have said that nearly 300 people were detained. But that number could be closer to 800. That's according to this Russian organization called OVD Info that monitors political arrests. They had said nearly 700, but that number continues to grow as we keep checking. Now, we don't have any details on the charges right now or if anyone has been released. What we do know is that today's protest started near the mayor of Moscow's office, people shouting things like "Russia will be free." There are reports of police beating protesters, charging at the crowd with their batons raised, and forcing people who were detained into buses to be taken to the police station. Now, in essence, this is over Moscow City Council elections that will be held in September. This is something that normally draws little attention. Protesters say several independent opposition candidates have been excluded from the ballot. They say for political reasons, and that's why they're protesting. Of course, officials dispute that. They say these candidates had insufficient signatures on their petitions to run. Now, this isn't the first protest of this kind. Last Saturday, more than 20,000 people protested, dozens arrested then too. It's thought the numbers for today's protest are far fewer. About 3,500 people took part. But something to keep in mind, this time police started making arrests before the protest even began.
So even before they began. Now, some of those arrested were the main opposition leaders in Russia. Tell us a bit more about that.
That's right. So several of these main opposition leaders, including some of those potential candidates for city council, were arrested before this protest even started. One of them in particular, Alexei Navalny. He is Russia's most prominent opposition figure. On Wednesday, he was put in jail for 30 days, and he released a video on Instagram. In it, he takes a lighter tone. You can see him here with his wife, Yulia. But in this video that he put out on Instagram from jail, he says he came out of his home to buy flowers for Yulia's birthday and found himself detained in a police station. It's actually the second time he's been arrested this month. Let's look at the big picture here. What this all really shows is that President Vladimir Putin's popularity has dipped. There is anger over falling household incomes and living standards. His approval ratings have sunk. People aren't happy with how Moscow is being run, and clearly they're willing to make their voices heard.